All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Before we got cut off, Winston was about to get into what he foresees. And this is something that him and I off-air have talked about multiple times, and other people have discussed it, but he's going to get a little more in-depth, and he's going to tell you what he foresees, and if it happens, then what to look for, and, you know, who to be looking for, I should say, and who to be looking at. So, Winston, go ahead. The floor is yours, my friend.
Everyone should, notice for the last 15 or so years, Hollywood's been pushing certain themes in all hacker-related films. As far back as 15 years ago in the movie Hackers from 1994, you've got that. You've got the whole premise of that movie is a white hat security researcher developed a virus that's going to sink some oil tankers as a distraction for stealing some money, and then the attack gets blamed on hackers. Then you have Die Hard 4, which is another movie based on infrastructure attacks where hackers are attacking the critical infrastructure of a city. Then you have movies like Takedown, which is the Miramax picture, which is a fictionalized account of Kevin Mitnick, the hacker from California, and in that film, Kevin Mitnick hacks into a white hat security researcher, one of the good guys who worked with the government, and found a proof of concept virus that he wrote, which attacks SCADA systems and attacks industrial, nuclear plants, water lines, that type of thing. These types of themes are prevalent throughout all these movies, and within the last several years, we've seen these actual white hat, government-funded, corporate-developed proof-of-concepts tools start to come out for infrastructure attacks. On the most extreme examples are the Stuxnet virus and the Dooku virus, which have already been proven to come from governments and Israeli government and U.S. government sources. And then you'll have at every hacker conference that comes out, you'll have these floods of SCADA attack tools developed by not by black hat hackers, but by white hat security professionals who work for vulnerability firms, and they're simply developed and simply interested in getting their name out there and finding the latest vulnerabilities in these SCADA systems, because that's the latest buzzword around the information security system is SCADA protection and critical infrastructure protection. But all this is leading to is there's going to be a large-scale attack on SCADA systems, which will be false flagged by the New World Order, and it will be used, and they will end up doing exactly what the films had said they were going to do, and they're going to end up blaming hackers and throwing the anonymous matter on the attack. So when a large-scale SCADA attack does happen, don't look to basement-dwelling anonymous people. Look towards white hat security professionals and their government contracting firms who are developing it and speaking at conferences about these attacks, because they're the ones who are spending the profit from patching the vulnerabilities and implementing the solutions for it. For a long time, the critical infrastructure aspects of society, like the nuclear power plants and the dams and the sewer pipelines and all that stuff, all those things used to never be internet connected. It's considered crazy to even consider making that a public-facing infrastructure. But as everything starts being given IP addresses, even now washing machines are being given IP addresses, things end up on the internet. And even if a single outside machine can get compromised with sucked into this eternal network, then it is possible to worm through and get control of it. Especially considering a lot of these SCADA systems are ridiculously simple, using programming languages and architectures from 20 years ago. And the reason is they were never meant to be internet facing, but they are now. And there's going to be an attack on them, and it's going to be backed by the government so that they can use it to continue to implement controls and restrict internet freedoms, get things like SOPA and PIPA and all sorts of other restrictive internet legislations passed under the guise of protecting society from these critical infrastructure attacks by these wily groups of hackers.
So, do you think that there's any chance that we can, maybe the good hackers, which I know there are tons of them out there, is there any way these people can help foil this? Somehow maybe leak plans if they hear of something, or if they maybe be on alert to all maybe the hackers that listen to this, because I know there's a large contingent of people that pull my the archives and stuff that are hackers. I get emails from them time to time. You've even told me. Do you think that they can maybe be more on alert and try to keep an eye out for this kind of stuff, see if there's any unusual stuff going on the back end? Because that's where you'd spot it, would be on the back end, correct?
Well, one would think, but just like the way 9/11 had a lot of open source public intelligence leading to it, we'll probably be better off as people in the hacker community and the information security community in general. They should really just follow the news and follow developments on SCADA vulnerabilities that are being released and discovered, and who's the one discovering them? What are they? What's the purpose of it? A lot of it is just legitimate researchers trying to make a name off of a hot topic, make a name for themselves off finding vulns in a system that's very popular to do right now. They can make a lot of money finding vulnerabilities and then getting contracts for the companies. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is the problem is once those vulnerabilities are indexed and cataloged, the government will pick and choose which ones they want to do. Put together a black ops team to carry it out, and then blame it on a group like Anonymous.
Yeah, and then some 14 or 15-year-old kid will be the patsy. The
Bin Laden of the internet.
Yeah, and they'll make them go down in history as the bad guy, when in reality it's not. It's unbelievable what's going on. 10 years ago, if you had told me this kind of stuff, what was going to happen, I would tell you that you were, you've watched too many. You've watched The Matrix one too many times, perhaps.
Yeah, it's the same thing like with the Lone Gunman TV show regarding 9/11. There are all sorts of Hollywood movies.
Predictive programming is what you're referring to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It's they'll have topics in films and mainstream media, and mainstream film movies and TV shows about things like the Twin Towers getting blown up or planes getting hijacked and crashed into them years before 9/11. And so basically they're all they're going off these war game scenarios that have been developed, and SCADA attacks are one of the most popular war game scenarios right now for the federal government.
Yeah, and if you notice all the games like Call of Duty and all these other games, where's the battlefield? 10 years ago, it used to be in the Middle East, or one of these former Russian provinces, Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan or whatever little stand. Not anymore. Now all the battlefield, even if it goes on anywhere else in the world, a large portion of it goes on right here in the United States. So.
Yeah, because once a large natural disaster or some kind of nuclear disaster, some kind of terrible catastrophe that takes place due to an attack on the SCADA infrastructure, then that's when the humanitarian aid troops will need to come out.
Yeah, well, we need to beat this ahead of time. We need to, again. If those in the hacker community that hear this live broadcast later on, you pull the archive or you hear it on YouTube, keep an eye out, keep your ears out, guys, whatever senses you use to, work and do your magic, keep an eye out on what's going on, because you guys will be what saves the day. If you guys want to know what's going to save the internet, it's going to be those 14 and 15-year-old kids out there. And, the older people, too, that do hacking and coding and everything else. It's going to be you people that help save the internet, okay? So keep your eyes open. Give out your warning one more time, just in case.
Yeah, the main warning is to keep an eye out on SCADA system vulnerability publications. Keep an eye on who's releasing them, what type of vulnerabilities there are, what type of systems there are. And just and keep an eye out for government war game scenarios. They always advertise these types of scenarios when they're going to make them, when they're going to make a big thing of it. A lot of it goes unadvertised. And if you're working within government, keep an eye out for those red team, blue team type exercises. And eventually one of those might one of those contractors that are being brought in might have an agreement with with some darker forces to be able to marshal some stuff in. So everyone has to be on their top diligence, not really and mostly looking towards the inside, looking at the contractors and the intelligence connections of those involved in your research.